Noel Deyzel is called Daddy Noel for clear reasons in gym culture. He has shared lessons about his progression with exercise, self-improvement, and steroid awareness, acting as a role model for younger gym goers afraid of starting out. I am not a psychologist yet, meaning this is an informal attempt at applying psychological theory to understand how anyone can overcome the same challenges that Noel did. This is an Orange Chair written work number 9. This is the Noel Deyzel Psychoanalysis. A case study will be provided to inform who he is to those who do not know him, and a refresher for those who do. Noel Deyzel was born in South Africa on the 30th of September 1984. His mum raised him and his 2 sisters on her own, working 2 jobs to provide only enough for their survival. As he went without food for a time, he was skinny and bullied for it in school. He started going to the gym to improve his frame and confidence, which he was also discouraged from doing. He spent many years working on his body until he became a professional IFBB heavyweight bodybuilder. He also noticed how other people were discouraged from going to the gym. He then began filming TikToks to instead encourage people's fitness goals. This began to build an audience, and his fame grew further when he made steroid awareness videos. Noel advocating for steroid transparency made him famous, as other gym role models did not specify its dangerous effects to a younger audience. As Noel was also in the position of his confused target audience, he made videos giving bodybuilding advice as well. Rather than misleading and using others, Noel Deyzel built the foundation of his internet career on what he wanted when he started out. Him sharing his personal development and life experiences allows anyone to replicate his process, so that anyone can also achieve their dreams. To allow anyone to replicate Noel's success requires outlining how he thinks. When Noel started going to the gym, it was difficult as he was skinny. What made going from skinny to muscular more difficult was that Noel was unfamiliar with the process of achieving such a long-term goal. To achieve a long-term goal is for a person to sustain the desire for it, only if they believe it is possible for them. When Noel began his fitness journey, he bought the usual supplements for the first time. He bought creatine, whey protein, and for paying over the price range, got a large red t-shirt. This was over twice his size, and he was still skinny. When he asked for a smaller shirt, the man at the counter replied,
"Don't worry, kid, you'll grow into it."
The small gesture resonated within Noel. He was surprised because after enduring other classmates bullying him for being skinny and lacking encouragement from friends and his partner at the time, someone else said otherwise. A stranger's words challenged these negative perceptions. This initial interaction was enough to inspire Noel to continue pursuing his dream of becoming a bigger, stronger person. This was enough to change Noel's entire view of himself. This changed his self-concept. The self-concept is the extensive evaluation of how someone thinks about themselves. This includes their self-image, ideal self, and self-esteem. When working towards one ideal self, the further they improve their self-esteem. Improving one's self-esteem allows for one to attribute more positive feelings to themselves. This then improves their self-image. This psychological concept was outlined by Carl Rogers in humanistic psychology. This field was formed alongside other psychological practitioners like Alfred Adler and Abraham Maslow. In humanistic therapy, Rogers notes that outlining a person's self-concept is necessary to then allow for a more fulfilling sense of self. The reason one may need this in therapy is because they did not learn it from experience. Noel did learn from experience. Noel was fortunate to encounter the stranger at the supplement store. The interaction gave him enough encouragement to strengthen his ideal self, a bodybuilder. The maintenance of the self-concept is like the fake it until you make it mentality. Noel believed he could become a bodybuilder, even if he was not the type of person at that moment in his life. What helped make the goal tangible was the red shirt. What maintained this was the gradual change of his lifestyle over the years. This lifestyle change included the gradual improvement of daily habits to get big, including more intense training and eating more protein. These new habits then changed his life trajectory, where he now achieved his ideal self. He was convinced that he was capable of becoming who he wanted to be, and he knew what that was. But there was a possibility that he would not succeed. As Noel did not have the best environment to grow, it was possible that he could have gone in a worse direction. Whilst he had a desk job after finishing school, he left that to start his own business. Noel recounts that quitting his job was risky in South Africa, as there was little work. He had nothing to resort to if his business did not succeed. Over time, he gathered clients, but did not make enough money to sustain himself, nor his gym habits. He continued until he acquired a meeting with a client who could steer his business into profit. But there was one issue. His car was low on fuel, and he had not eaten. To reach the business meeting on time, he had to pay for fuel, but he was also hungry and wanted to get food. He did not have enough money to afford both. It was one or the other. Noel here was experiencing a crisis. His past experience with bullying and feeling disappointed with himself amounted here. He could have adopted learnt helplessness. Learnt helplessness is where one adopts a negative, self-defeating mindset, where one believes they cannot improve or change themselves for the better. This is called a maladaptive behavior. A maladaptive behavior is one acts to prevent a confronting crisis, or a difficult scenario that allows one to grow and mature. Noel's crisis was him crying in his car, being faced with him paying for fuel or food. Whilst he could pay for fuel and go to the meeting that could lead his business into profit, what prevented this at that moment was the feeling that he should not be in that situation. His car was run down, but his friends' parents bought fancy cars for them. The other boys he knew were bigger than him, but he was bullied for being skinny. His former girlfriend do not respect his dreams of becoming a bodybuilder. All of these events in his life worked together to make him feel overwhelmed. As he put it,
And all I could think of is, why the f*** am I in this position? Why was I given this shit hand in my life? Why is it so easy for others, yet so difficult for me? What the f*** is the point of even living anymore?
what allowed Noel to overcome learned helplessness was the drive to have a better life. If he wanted a better life and achieve his dreams, he could not allow to feel sorry for himself. By engaging with the crisis by paying for the fuel and pushing through without food, he could look at the experience in hindsight. This could only be possible if he wanted to confront the crisis. It is at a point like this where the video will wrap up. But there is something else very important that requires further elaboration. You may have noticed that the title of this video has 2 out of 2 on it. That is because this is a sequel to my Andrew Tate video. This video is a sequel because despite the two having different outcomes in life, their upbringing is the same. They were both bullied for being skinny. They were raised by their mums, and they became rich and famous later in life. What made the two different was how they responded to their own crises, and how this manifested in behavior. Andrew learned from his poor upbringing that he had to fight and be aggressive to be successful. Noel learned from his poor upbringing that he had to make do with what he had, and work on himself to provide a better future. Another difference is that Noel did not achieve his success from anything questionable. Andrew went through the same experiences as his target audience, young men without fathers, and he chose to exploit them. Noel did not. Developmental theorists note that different stages in life can represent different milestones. These milestones are a crisis. The result is learning a different behavior. No diagram for many theorists can be applied to all people. Erik Erikson's table is not an exception. Erikson's stage, generivity versus stagnation, is used towards older people, but does also apply to Andrew and Noel. Generivity versus stagnation is a stage where one should provide for others that outlast them after they die. One can be a parent or a mentor, and instill their life experience and lessons onto those who are younger than them. If one does not overcome this stage, or crisis, one may feel they have not provided for the world. Andrew did not provide for others. Noel did. Noel has likely reflected that he has provided for others, and feel accomplished with his life because of it. Noel chose to spend his time providing lessons and encouragement, despite the negative setbacks that could have brought him into despair. Noel prioritized his time to provide how he achieved his dreams, and how struggle is necessary for growing into a better person. In spite of the bullies, and despite being big enough to cause great harm, he chose to help others. It makes sense why Noel Deyzel is called Daddy Noel. Most people within the gym community have made videos showing admiration, and on occasion unbridled lust for him. Referring to Noel as Daddy works as a collective inside joke because it is sincere. Noel may not have had the encouragement from a father in his life. He has acted as a father-like role model for the next generation. If Andrew Tate's audience wants an alternative role model, Noel is there. And with everything he has to say, his nickname is apt. Curtain.